Hey guys, happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is 4:15 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Again, I'm going to stick with a general idea today that I'm going to talk today about how we're coping, how we're coping with everybody else coping with this current situation. I don't think I even need to tell you guys what the current situation is. Okay, yesterday. First of all, let me tell you, I'm going to have to tell you, first of all, I'm from Connecticut, the Connecticut area, New England, low, southern New England, we'll call it. Let me tell you about the weather because that plays into this story. Before yesterday, 1 or 2 days for the whole week, it was cold. It was a cold week. Yesterday was Saturday. Monday through Friday was cold, unusually cold, 40s, pretty much 40s, cloudy, some sun, but about 10 to 20 degrees cooler than it should have been. It should be about 67, 65 degrees here this time of year. Which is okay. We're just making up because we had one of the warmest Marches on record. It's okay. All right. Then Saturday came. Yesterday was unbelievable, beautiful, sunny, warm, the way it should be. And it was a Saturday. Keep that in mind. It plays into it. The social distancing, the social isolation. And then one more thing. Today it's supposed to go right back to 40 and rainy. Today, tomorrow, and next week. We had one day, a Saturday, of warm, beautiful weather. Let me tell you what unfolded yesterday as I started to hear it. I spent the day working. The morning was a little cloudy, so I spent 4 to 5 hours working out, exercising, a 10-mile bike ride, 2-mile walk, 2-3 hours of weights. And I painted, and I actually started writing for a while yesterday. I want to do an autobiography on my drug use, the sexual abuse I suffered when I was a kid by one of my cop, my mother's boyfriend. And I want to write a book on that. Anyway, it started to get sunny around 11 a.m. So I went out on the back deck. I had already gotten a day's worth. Seeing as I'm up at 3 a.m., I pretty much already got a day's work in. By noon, I had gotten my day's work in. And I lay out on the back porch. I got a huge back deck here facing south, and it's always sunny and warm out. It's a beautiful spot to lay, and I'm up a couple hundred feet here looking down into the town, and it's a beautiful spot. Now this, I'm not bragging, this all plays into the story. As the day went on, I heard my neighbors next door. It's fairly quiet up here, and I heard people coming outside, over here next door. I know them fairly. I'm an introvert. I keep to myself. They probably think I'm a dick because I don't talk a lot. It takes me a while to open up to people. You'd never figure that from this channel, but introverts are like that. We're good on social media, but in real life, we can be standoffish, aloof. All right, but here's what I'm getting at. During the afternoon, I started to hear more and more. The town awakened yesterday. Seriously. So I start to hear cars. There's a main highway on the other side of the valley. I'm way up on one side of a valley. It goes down into the town, a river, and then up onto the other side of the valley, and I could see across. And on the other side is a main highway. It's Route 8. It runs from Bridgeport, Connecticut up into Massachusetts, a main highway. And I could hear cars start to race. I could usually hear them vaguely, but I started to hear screaming engines yesterday. And here's the thing. By 3, it got louder. It got, it crescendoed. All through town, I started to hear the sport bikes, radios. Then down the street from me, I started to hear Harleys coming up the road, up and down, and the town just started to get loud. This at first, it's like, it's springtime, people are coming out, but then it changed. I'm not kidding on this. This is something I never felt or heard before. It started to get louder. And maybe it was just the way I interpreted it, but it was constant, just screaming bikes and loud racing engines one side of town. And I could hear everything from north, up, south, down that way, and across the valley facing east. I could hear it pretty much, and I'm hearing it all different places all around town, just not connected. So this is about 2:30, between 2 and 3 o'clock. I hear a stream of cars coming up the street. I'm still laying there. I'm reading and whatnot, making notes on my book. So I'm not watching, but I hear a stream of cars coming up the hill, up the valley towards my place, beeping their horns, just back and forth, beep, 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 beep. Like it sounded, it had to be at least 4 vehicles. That's cool. People need to vent. And then I heard voices and yelling, and you could tell there was drinking going on. And now, so there's a regular like family party on one side, screaming engines, bikes, cars, trucks. I could hear all around town. Party of Harleys and whatnot on the other side of town, on the other side of my house, getting louder and louder. And it went from cool, people are getting out, venting, to almost scary. It was weird. It was like with everything combined, with the weather, and I think people knew that there was going to be one nice day, a Saturday, combined with the stress of this social isolation. Here in Connecticut, our deaths are still going. We're still climbing here. It's getting a bit better on some days, but it's not over here by any means. Connecticut's coming up on 25,000 cases. And remember, this is a small freaking state. We have more cases than Texas and Georgia. We have more deaths than California. We're coming up on 2,000 deaths. So I started looking up per town. This is a small town, less than 7,000 people. We've got 50 people right now contracted COVID-19. I think between 5 and 10 have died. The next town up, the city up here, 251 cases. The city over on the other side of me, 250 cases. The city down from me, 500 cases. This is current cases, so it's very real here. Anyway, back to the story. So it was Saturday, and it was one nice day sandwiched between a bunch of shitty days, cold, rainy New England days, just clammy, cold, harsh, chill you to the bone New England. And yesterday was a one sunny day, and it was at first it was cool. People were getting out, and then it got almost not scary but weird. People were almost. It sounded up here. It sounded like the town was going wild. Look, this is. I'm not going to lecture anybody. To tell you the truth, I didn't want to go down. I could have walked the 50 feet down to the end of my deck and looked down to see if they were wearing masks or not, to the gathering on the other side of my house with the Harleys. From all the yelling and the intoxicated sounds, I highly doubt they were wearing masks, but it's not my job to, I'm not going to make that my job to go see if they're wearing masks, because it made me wonder that how this was going to be taken by the law enforcement in the town too, because it sounded like a large gathering of people, but then again, it's not. I don't know. Is it my business? Is it not my business? I don't know. I didn't even bother going to look. You know what? By 3 or 4, it got to be too much for me. The sun was still out, but I came inside, and not only did I come inside, but I shut all the doors and windows. And I could still, and I turned the TV up, I put a movie on, and I could still hear the racket. And this place is pretty soundproof. And I could still hear the screaming bikes and the noise, the yelling. And this is a very quiet area here. You don't hear a peep usually. So it got strange by the end of the day. Like the town just broke loose and it was going wild with all the with everything combined, the weather, the day, the Saturday, the weekend day, the social distancing and everything. It seems like it all came together, and I guess it was good. It was good. People need that. You need that, especially. I mean, like I said, I'm an introvert, but some people really need that connection with other people, especially if you're younger. I as you guys know from I had 25 years of drinking and drug abuse. I've had more than my share of partying and social interaction, so I'm good where I am. I prefer this now. But other people don't, other people are younger and they need that. They need to socialize. It's important. And I understand that. But it almost got a little, it made me wonder how far it could go. If the situation was worse, and, how wild could people go if they were locked down more, longer, harder, and they were let loose. Just a thought. Okay, I'm gonna have to add in one thing. Yesterday, so I told you guys I watched a movie when I came inside, right? And I have never seen the Divergent series, the Divergence. It's a science fiction movie. I never saw it. 3 movies: Allegiance, Divergence, and Insurgents. And those are the movies I should have picked a comedy to watch. Because it's about a dystopian future, government and stuff, and it's probably a little too heavy, and maybe maybe my imagination got carried away with me when I heard all that racket out there. But no, still, besides that, it was interesting, um, and I wonder the rest of the state, the rest of the country, if there were similar instances yesterday. Like I said, here everything came together. The weather, especially, because we knew we were going to have one beautiful day, and then today it's going right back to in the 40s and rain. So people just broke loose yesterday, and by the end of by mid to late afternoon, it almost sounded a little out of hand. Like it sounded like people were starting to ignore. I guess this is my point. It sounded like people were starting to say "fuck it." Sounded like people were starting to drink, and I could hear people yelling and talking together. And I don't know for sure if they had masks on, but it certainly didn't sound like it. And I started to picture that, after some drinks and being locked up, people are just going to say, you know what, fuck it, and they need it. And I have a feeling throughout town yesterday that probably I heard it, that probably happened a lot around here, where people just threw caution to the wind. It reminds me when I was a kid and I didn't have a rubber and I had sex without a rubber. You get to a point and you just say screw it. Your needs overwhelm your common sense, and it's a weird analogy there, but or metaphor, whatever it is. Anyway. I'm just curious. I don't know. It's interesting. It's social behavior. It's something we never experienced before, lockdown and everything, So anyway, I think people just said fuck it. A lot of people just said fuck it yesterday and went out and partied. I think that's the bottom line. We'll see. That's why I keep watching the numbers here on Worldometers, the internet site. And I watch specifically. I was watching Virginia and Michigan. I've seen the numbers in Illinois go up insane, and Maryland. New cases are insane in those 2 states, and I'm not sure why. New cases are like 1,500 cases a day in those states. I don't know what's going on there. All right, those are my thoughts for right now. You guys have a good Sunday. I'll talk to you later.